It had been many years since the last great war in the galaxy. Most planets had agreed to peace. Trade grew, knowledge was shared. And Earth, once seen as violent and wild, had changed. Humanity had become known for something else. Its medics, human doctors, nurses, and rescue workers were now famous across the galaxy. They worked in war zones, not as fighters, but as helpers. They treated both sides. They didn't ask who started the war. They only saved lives. The Galactic Peace Treaty made a rule. No one would harm medics, no matter what. That rule was sacred. It kept hope alive, even in the worst times. And for years, it worked. Humans were trusted everywhere. Medics wore white uniforms with red symbols. Even children in far-off colonies knew what those uniforms meant. But one day, something broke that trust. The medical ship Hope's Light was on a mission near the border of two alien factions. A small war had broken out between them. The humans were not involved. They only came to help the wounded. The ship sent signals of peace and carried no weapons. Inside were over 300 trained medics, ready to save lives. It was supposed to be a short mission. Help the wounded, stabilize the area, and return home. The attack came without warning. 3 warships appeared suddenly, cloaked from scanners. They didn't talk. They didn't ask questions. They fired. The Hope's Light exploded in silence. No one survived. There were no last messages, no black box signals. Only burning metal and drifting bodies left behind in space. The wreckage floated for days before a patrol ship found it. When the news reached Earth, the world fell silent. Jared Kane was standing at his family's farm when he heard the news. He had once been a commander in Earth's defense fleet, a man known for his strength in battle. But he had retired to live quietly, far from the stars and war. When he saw the names of the dead scrolling on the screen, doctors, nurses, students, young volunteers, he clenched his fists. His daughter had served on a medical ship once. She had been lucky. She wasn't on this one. But many others weren't so lucky. Earth called an emergency meeting. The Galactic Council demanded answers. But no one took the blame. The alien factions said they didn't order the attack. Some called it a mistake. Others said it was a false flag operation. Lies filled the air like smoke. And through it all, Earth said nothing. No threats. No revenge. Just silence. Many thought that meant weakness. Some alien warlords even celebrated in private. They believed they had sent a message. That Earth had become soft. That humans no longer had the will to fight. They didn't know they had just lit a fire that had been sleeping. Back in a hidden underground base, a signal reached Jared Kane, a voice from his past. "General Morrison, we need you," he said. "You always knew how to speak for the dead." Jared left his farm that night. No goodbye, no delay, just a simple message on his kitchen table. They killed the healers. Now I must go. When he arrived at the command center, things were already moving. Earth's leaders were calm. Too calm. It was not the calm of peace. It was the silence before a storm. The kind that comes just before everything changes. Jared walked through the war room, reading the data, the reports, the intercepted messages, and in the middle of it all was one image, the burning remains of the Hope's Light. He turned to the Council of Admirals. "We warned them once," he said. "They attacked unarmed medics. That was their final mistake. The plan was clear. Earth would not speak in public. No grand speeches, no open war declarations. That wasn't how this response would work. This would be something different, something the galaxy hadn't seen in a long time. They called it Project Mercyfall. Jared was placed in charge. He would lead the mission. A mission not for conquest, but for justice. Not for revenge, but for memory. The goal was not to destroy entire civilizations, but to make sure no one, anywhere, would ever think of harming a human medic again. The first step was information. Jared sent small stealth teams to gather proof, real evidence of who planned the attack. And as they dug deeper, something dark was uncovered. It wasn't just one rogue group, it was a plan, a test. A group of alien leaders had joined forces in secret. They believed that if they destroyed Earth's trust, if they could get humanity to respond with rage, the galaxy would turn against humans again. They thought Earth's strength was also its weakness. But they were wrong. Earth didn't answer with rage. It answered with purpose. The medics of the galaxy had always worn white, showing they did not fight. But now, a new force was forming, one that wore black, not to hide, but to remind everyone that the light had been taken from them. Jared trained these new teams himself. Not soldiers, not assassins, something else, specialists, agents of warning. Their mission was simple: find the ones responsible, make sure the galaxy saw them pay. Leave behind no anger, just truth. Meanwhile, across distant star systems, rumors began to spread. Alien captains found strange messages burned into their warship hulls overnight. You attacked the healers. Entire bases found themselves locked down mysteriously, with their leaders missing. Holograms began to appear across enemy space, showing the faces of the fallen medics, and one line repeated on every broadcast: "This is not revenge. This is remembrance." The warlords grew nervous. One by one, they began denying their involvement. They started to blame each other. Fear returned to their councils, for they had poked a sleeping wolf, thinking it had become a dog, and Earth had not forgotten how to hunt. Jared stood alone in his command ship, staring at the stars. He thought of the medics who died, of the children they tried to save, of the peace Earth once offered. He knew peace would come again, but not until the lesson was complete. Not until the stars themselves whispered a warning for all who listened: never harm those who heal. The galaxy felt quiet, but it was not peaceful. After the destruction of the medical ship Hope's Light, something invisible moved through the stars. It was not seen in news reports. It wasn't talked about in open channels. But everyone felt it, like cold air before a storm, like the way animals go still before something terrible begins. The silence was not normal. It was waiting. On Earth, cities kept running. People went to work. Children went to school. But everyone knew something had changed. People spoke in low voices. They left flowers at the spaceport hospitals. Red ribbons were tied around doors and windows. It was a way to honor the medics who were lost. But deep down, the people were waiting for what Earth would do. In orbit, the fleet moved in ways no one could see. Ships that had been hidden in the dark side of the moon came to life. Drones flew silently across star maps. Names were whispered through secure lines, names of those who helped plan the attack. Those names were being marked. Jared Kane sat inside the command ship Judgment's wake. He had not slept much. His face was sharp. His eyes burned with a quiet fire. He did not want war. But war had already come. Now it was about control, precision, teaching. The enemy had believed humans were too soft to strike back. But Earth had learned long ago, true strength was quiet. It did not need to shout. He met with his team in a room with no windows, only a table and a glowing star map. One by one, agents gave updates. The main suspect had been found: Admiral Krivik of the Varn Dominion. He was not a politician. He was a hunter. He believed that by killing the medics, he could break Earth's reputation. He thought the humans would either collapse in fear or explode in anger. Either way, he would win. He was wrong. "We have eyes on Krivik's main fortress," said Agent Lin, a calm woman who had once saved lives in war zones herself. "We found logs showing he gave the order. We found proof he tried to erase the data. And we found the message he sent to his allies. He called it the first strike." Jared didn't speak. He just nodded once. That was enough. The team's mission was not to destroy cities. Earth had no interest in burning homes or bombing civilians. This mission was about message and memory. Krivik would not disappear in an explosion. That would be too fast. Too easy. The galaxy needed to watch him fall. The first action came days later. On the Varn homeworld, thousands gathered in the central plaza. A festival was taking place. People danced. Music filled the air. Children played. No one saw the small drone flying above, invisible to the eye. It carried a single object, a projection device. At noon, it activated. The music stopped. The skies turned dark as a huge image filled the air. It showed the Hope's light floating in space, peaceful and bright. Then came the attack, warships firing without warning. Screams, fire, then silence. The image zoomed in on Krivik's face, taken from his own warship logs. Then it ended with one sentence. He killed the healers. Earth remembers. Panic broke out. The festival ended in chaos. Krivik was nowhere to be found. He had gone into hiding 2 days earlier, fearing Earth's response. But Earth didn't come with fire from the sky. They came with silence. In the following weeks, strange things happened. A fleet of Varn warships turned off mid-flight. Their systems crashed. Their weapons wouldn't power up. A simple message appeared on every screen. You killed those who saved. You will not fight again. In another star system, Krivik's closest advisor was taken during the night. No alarms were triggered. No guards were harmed. The next morning, his empty uniform was found in his chair. A note sat on top of it. You planned death. Now face silence. The other alien powers began to worry. Not just about Earth, but about what they didn't know. How was Earth doing this? How did humans move through their systems like ghosts? How could they appear anywhere, anytime? They tried to speak to Earth through the Galactic Council, but Earth did not respond. No messages, no appearances, not even a protest. Just more silence. The silence became louder than words. Back on Earth, people watched carefully. They didn't cheer. They didn't celebrate. They just waited. They trusted that justice was coming, because they knew something the rest of the galaxy had forgotten. When humans stop talking, it means they've already made a decision. One day, Krivik's fortress lost power. His guards were gone. His systems failed, and in the center of his control room, Jared Kane stood alone. Krivik raised his weapon. Jared didn't move. You think silence is strength? Krivik shouted. You think shadows can scare me? Jared looked at him, calm as stone. You thought mercy made us weak, but you killed those who gave mercy. And now you will see what happens when Earth stops giving it. A single shot was heard. Not from Jared. Krivik fell to the ground. Behind him, a young medic named Erin lowered her weapon. She had survived the attack on Hope's Light. She had been found floating in a damaged escape pod, barely alive. She had asked to be part of this mission. Jared had agreed. Erin looked down at Krivik's body. That was for the nurses, she said. That was for the children. Jared nodded. Let's go home. The body was left where it fell. And again, Earth said nothing. But across the stars, people started whispering. They warned us once, and we didn't listen. In the weeks that followed Krivik's fall, the galaxy changed, but no one wanted to say it out loud. Across planets and star stations, leaders gathered behind locked doors. They spoke in whispers, nervous and unsure. They asked the same question over and over again. What is Earth going to do next? No one knew. Earth had still not sent any messages, no official statement, no demands, no threats. But the galaxy felt like it was holding its breath. People started calling it the Quiet War, because Earth wasn't speaking, but it was moving. And every time they moved, something changed forever. A planet that once helped fund the Varn warships suddenly lost its satellites. Their skies went dark for 7 hours. Then, when systems came back online, every screen showed the same thing. The names and photos of every human medic who had died on the Hope's Light. Nothing else. Just faces, 1,000 of them, young and old, smiling, Brave, the people of that planet began holding silent marches in their honor. Some even wore white bands with the symbol of the Earth Medical Corps. It wasn't fear, it was guilt. And far away on a quiet moon, an entire Varn fleet commander surrendered without a fight. He sent a simple message to the humans. I was not part of the attack, but I cannot wear this uniform anymore. If you need my help, I will give it. He turned in his weapons and opened his doors. No one came for him. Earth did not respond, but the message had been received. Meanwhile, Jared Kane and Erin returned to Earth. They were not welcomed with cheers or celebration. The world had changed. There was no joy in revenge, only quiet respect. A large building was built near the old launch site of Hope's Light. It became the Earth Medics Memorial Center. No weapons allowed, only stories, only names. And every day, people came to sit in silence there, remembering those who were lost. But the story was not over yet. Earth had learned that Krivik was not the only one involved. A deeper network had supported the attack. A shadow alliance of 3 races, Varn, Theli, and Zathuri. All had signed a secret deal. All had shared weapons. All had chosen to hit Earth where it was kindest. They thought that kindness was a weakness. Now they were learning otherwise. In deep space, special human ships called Ghosts were launched. These were not warships. They had no big guns, no flashy shields, but they were perfect hunters, silent, fast, invisible. Their mission was not to destroy worlds, but to leave marks that could not be forgotten. The Ghosts left signs. On the main moon of the Theli, the government palace lights failed. When they returned, a large mural had been burned into the side of the tallest tower. It showed a human medic kneeling beside a small alien child, giving them medicine. And next to that, the child's body, burned by a Varn strike. Underneath, one sentence. You knew. You helped. Now they remember. No one saw who made the mural. Cameras failed. Guards saw nothing. But everyone woke up to it the next morning. The image spread across the galaxy in minutes. Theli leaders panicked. Some resigned. Some begged Earth for forgiveness. But Earth still said nothing. The silence had become more terrifying than any army. Across news networks, alien scholars and historians began to change their opinions on humanity. They had once called humans young and too emotional. Now they said things like measured, calculated, and dangerous when quiet. One historian named Faltron spoke on a galactic news broadcast. We always believed Earth was soft because they loved peace. But now we see that their peace is not a gift. It is a promise. And when that promise is broken, something worse than war comes. A lesson. Back on Earth, Jared Kane stood at the edge of the sea. He watched the water move, slow and deep. Erin stood beside him. Do you think they understand now? She asked. Jared didn't answer for a while. Then he said, some do. The smart ones. The ones who remember history. The rest. They might need more lessons. Erin looked at the horizon. Do we keep going? We don't chase, Jared said. We show them. Again and again. What happens when you strike the hand that helps? Later that day, a final signal was sent. Not a message, but a single visual file, broadcast to every planet that had once supported Krivik. It showed Earth, green and blue, calm and shining. Then it showed the wreckage of Hope's Light. Then the faces of the medics. Then silence. But at the end, 5 words appeared on screen. This is our quiet voice. And just like that, the signal ended. For many, that moment hit harder than war, because it wasn't anger, it wasn't hate, it was mourning, it was grief. And the galaxy finally saw humanity not as conquerors, not as victims, but as something far more dangerous. Teachers. They had shown the galaxy what it meant to attack those who brought life instead of death. And now, every star system remembered it. Every leader feared it. And every child would learn it. The lesson was written in stars, and Earth didn't need to speak ever again. It had been almost one standard cycle since the fall of Krivik and the silent response from Earth. The galaxy looked peaceful from space, but that peace was thin, like glass stretched too far. Everyone knew something still burned beneath the surface. On the surface of Zuthuri Prime, a meeting was taking place inside a dark chamber. The Zuthuri were a cold-blooded race, their skin like stone, and their minds sharper than blades. They had not spoken to Earth since the attack on Hope's Light, and they had not apologized either. Counselor Veth, leader of Zuthuri Prime, sat in silence as he reviewed the latest report. His security forces had found human drones on the outer edges of their planet, small, silent machines, watching and recording, not attacking, not speaking, just watching. "It's not a threat," one advisor said. "They haven't fired a single shot." Counselor Veth's fingers tapped the metal desk. "No, that is the threat. They're telling us they see us. They know, and they're waiting." Far away, in a hidden base on the edge of human space, Jared Kane and Aaron met with others from Earth's defense circle. They weren't planning wars. They were planning truth. They were building data packages, recording every detail of the betrayal, every signature, every meeting. Every credit transferred to Krivik's forces. They didn't need guns to destroy empires. They only needed to show the galaxy what had really happened. And then, something unexpected happened. The medical ship Hope's Dawn, a new replacement for Hope's Light, was launched. It wasn't a warship. It carried doctors, medics, and volunteers. And this time, it wasn't going alone. It had 3 shadow escort ships, silent and invisible. If anyone tried again, the answer would not be quiet. But Earth wasn't sending it to prove strength. They were sending it to prove something greater. That humanity would not stop healing the galaxy, even after betrayal. That kindness was not weakness. That mercy still lived in their hearts. But now, that mercy had armor. The galaxy watched as Hope's Dawn landed on a neutral world suffering from disease. The local leaders were afraid. They whispered, "If we accept help from humans, will the Zuthuri call us traitors?" But the people were dying, and the medics came anyway. They brought medicine, food, and shelter. They saved children. They taught local doctors. And just like before, they never asked for anything in return. And this time, no one attacked them. The Zuthuri watched from a distance. They could see the cameras, the people cheering, the aliens crying as human doctors saved their lives. And even though the Zuthuri had helped plan the destruction of Hope's Light, Earth did not strike them first. Jared had said one thing: let them see who we really are. Not through threats, but through action. But back on Zuthuri Prime, something broke. A young Zuthuri general named Corvin had enough. He believed Earth was weak, pretending to be strong. He thought all the silence, all the patience, was a trick, and he wanted to prove it. Without the Council's order, he launched a small fleet to intercept Hope's Dawn. Not to destroy it, just to stop it, just to scare the medics, just to show Earth they could still be touched. But he made a terrible mistake. Because this time, Earth was not silent. The escorts came out of cloak. They surrounded Corvin's fleet without firing. They sent a message, only 4 words: "This ends with you." And in seconds, Earth's ghost ships disabled every Zuthuri engine. Not one shot to kill, just silence. Then, each human ship sent 1 drone. The drones landed on every Zuthuri bridge and displayed one single image: a human child from Hope's Light, burned and broken, clutching the medical bag. It was not a threat. It was a reminder. Corvin fell to his knees. The Zuthuri Council arrested him before Earth had to act, and for the first time, they sent Earth a message: "We are sorry. We failed to stop him. We accept the truth of what was done. We are ready to listen." Back on Earth, Erin read the message. "They broke," she said. Jared nodded. "No, They understood. There's a difference. All across the galaxy, people began changing how they saw humanity. They weren't just warriors. They were something more dangerous, principled. They didn't kill for anger. They moved for justice. And when they struck, they left scars deeper than bombs. Children on alien worlds began learning human history. Schools taught the names of the medics who died on Hope's Light. Statues were raised. Some planets began to carry Earth's symbol on medical stations as a sign of trust. The galaxy finally understood. Earth would never be first to fire, but they would be the last. And behind every smile, behind every outstretched hand, was a memory that burned like fire beneath the surface. The universe had never been so quiet. There were no wars, no battles in space, but the peace was not one of calm. It was the kind of quiet you feel before a storm. And this storm had a name: humanity. As the stars shine down on countless worlds, each planet seemed to be holding its breath. They waited. They watched. Would Earth show mercy again, or would the full strength of their power be revealed? No one could say for sure, but one thing was clear. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. On the edge of the Sol system, the Hope's Dawn glided back toward Earth. Its mission was complete. The medics had healed. The sick had been cured. And the universe had learned to respect the kindness of humanity. But there was still one more thing to do. Jared Kane stood at the control room of the Hope's Dawn, looking out at the stars. Erin joined him, her eyes reflecting the same feeling of uncertainty that had haunted her for days. They had won the battle for humanity's name. But what would the future hold? "Do you think they'll ever forgive us?" Erin asked softly. Jared didn't answer right away. He knew what she meant. The Council had begged for forgiveness. But that was just the start. The galaxy would have to decide whether it truly wanted peace with Earth, or whether it would continue to fear the wrath that could follow if humanity was pushed too far. The Hope's Dawn was more than a symbol of healing. It was a reminder that humanity had something that no other species could match: their strength to show mercy, but their unbreakable resolve to protect what they loved. Their ability to rise, no matter how much pain they had been through. And now, Earth was preparing for a new kind of battle. A battle for the hearts and minds of the galaxy. The stars weren't afraid of Earth's power, yet. But if humanity could hold on to their strength without letting it turn into violence, they would become the rulers of the galaxy, not through force, but through something much stronger: compassion. In a secret chamber beneath the surface of Earth, high-level representatives from every corner of the galaxy were meeting. There were species from every world: Zutheri, Krivik, and many more. They came with their questions, their doubts, and their fears. But they also came with something more important: their hope. Because they had seen what humanity had done. They had seen the kindness that Earth brought into the universe. And for the first time, they saw something else too. Something that shook their beliefs to the core. Humanity had power, yes. But it had something far more dangerous: the ability to change the universe without firing a single shot. Jared stepped into the room with Erin by his side. The representatives turned their eyes toward him. Some were afraid. Some were curious. But all were waiting. Jared didn't speak at first. He stood tall. His presence felt like a quiet storm. Then, after what felt like 1,000 years of silence, he said simply, "You've seen what we've done. We're not here to rule. We're here to heal. But if anyone ever dares to harm the helpless again, you'll remember this day. You'll remember that humanity doesn't forget, and we will always protect what's ours." The representatives shifted in their seats, their eyes wide with understanding. They had seen what humanity was capable of. And now they saw the truth. Humanity was more than a threat. They were a force of nature. And for the first time in the history of the galaxy's leaders looked at humanity with respect. True respect. Not just for their strength, but for their ability to fight for what was right, even when the cost was high. Jared stepped away from the podium, his words echoing through the chamber. It was a moment of silence, and then, for the first time, The galaxy began to understand. Humanity wasn't just another player in the galaxy. Humanity was the player. One by one, the representatives stood. They didn't need to say anything. Their actions spoke louder than words. They bowed to Jared and to Erin, recognizing that Earth had earned its place among the stars, not through violence, but through the strength of its ideals. As the meeting ended, Jared looked out into the galaxy, knowing that the battle was far from over. There would be challenges ahead. There would be more to prove, more to fight for. But humanity had changed the galaxy, and that change would never be forgotten. The story of Earth's rise was just beginning. And though the stars burned bright in the night sky, there was a new fire that would shine even brighter. A fire of hope, justice, and the unshakable will of humanity to protect the innocent, no matter the cost. And so, Earth's legacy was written across the stars. The galaxy would never forget what humanity had done. And in the heart of every human who dared to dream, they knew one thing.